very much on the top of the drill scene and very much had the potential to skyrocket in the hip-hop industry. A young kid with a chip on his shoulder with crazy wordplay and an innate energy and persona that can only be found in Brownsville, Brooklyn. But his ability to not be able to maintain relationships in the industry and being in and out of jail for most of his young adulthood have somewhat halted his growth. Today, OMB JAYDEE is serving a sentence due to a RICO charge.
Not to the field, then we spin on the field, then we punk up before inside. And I got about 9 in my clip with us, knives in the strip, and your 5-year turn the car. Y'all thinking that 22 lit, 22 is a snitch, he did not beat that murder charge.
When you look at the environment JAYDEE grew up around, it's easy to see where he gets that energetic, aggressive, in-your-face personality. He was born March 28th, 2000 as
My boy, I'm Pisces, just like me. OMB JAYDEE is my favorite birthday rapper. We born in the same month. Let's go, Pisces.
Quan Wise in Brownsville, Brooklyn, an area of Brooklyn that's been neglected by local officials and infused with gang culture since the 50s. JAYDEE would be raised by none other than G5 Reels, a respected family member of the Brim set in Brooklyn, otherwise known as the Hounds, Jets, and known for their viral whoopty call. This is the kind of energy and environment JAYDEE would be raised around his whole life. By the age of 11, he would be fully ingrained into pen tapping and full-fledged roast battles in middle school in his local neighborhood. He would listen to artists like Lil Durk, G Herbo, and other Chicago stars. In that, you can see where he clearly gets his influence in his music to be so outright disrespectful. He would launch into the music scene similar to 50 Cent, absolutely dissing the fuck out of everyone.
Oh, you staying gang, give me everything, if you movie getting murdered. Go and get the Richie, I'ma throw 50, leave a blicky on the shirt. Smoke dead guys for the dead guys, watch a nigga go berserk.
Op Mix would drop July 9, 2017. Being surrounded by mostly Brims at the time, JAYDEE would make it very known he's EBK, everybody's killer. Fundamentally, JAYDEE was light years ahead of a lot of these other kids in New York. His wordplay, breath work, and vocal tone really set him apart from the rest. Not many people in the scene, even to this day, can rap or hold up with JAYDEE. And although him and D-Sav have
That's why JAYDEE's my favorite Brooklyn rapper. Not better than Pop Smoke, but he's still my favorite Brooklyn rapper.
been putting in so much work in the New York drill scene, he wouldn't really get that mainstream attention until linking with Fabio for Blicky in a Box.
Fabio, they don't know if they started, we yoga retarded, we still in that gang shit.
Blicky in a Box being hands down one of the most disrespectful, in-your-face, diss-filled tracks to release out of New York. A fully aimed diss against 2Gs and the GDs of Brooklyn. Not only was it a song you couldn't play safe in a majority in New York, but it'd be the first time we see Favi and JAYDEE link up.
And you know that's one thing we don't play, cause we your GDK if you fully your brain split. Like I was the Crips, don't choke the bloods, we don't fuck with the folks who's more to die.
This itself wasn't Fabio's first song, but it definitely was his first hit, or track in general, that went completely viral. At that time, JAYDEE and D-Sav were two of the biggest upcoming drill artists in the New York drill scene. In a sense, they were helping Fabio out doing a track with him. To me, and a lot of other drill listeners at the time, Fabio was fairly unknown. And JAYDEE's late connection with Fabio is where you would really start to see a bunch of the growth in his career. At the time, you saw the young star sporting a red flag in all of his earliest music videos, surrounded by bloods from his area of Brownsville. But his connection to Fabio aided in him getting to know P. Gutta, an OG for many of the woos, and happens to be under the same set as Fabio. P. Gutta would eventually be the man responsible for JAYDEE switching gangs.
Suck dick, yeah, I turn Crip, I don't give a fuck what a nigga say. No folks coming my way, and the nigga still choking.
And you're switching away from your father's gang? How does that make
I thought he said it was blood. I could be wrong though. I did not know that.
sense? These dudes are on the street trading block superstars like NBA players. That's the exact reason drill rappers and fans were confused as fuck by, and really would be the first instance of JAYDEE's career being halted and negatively affected by outside perception of his brand. Fans began to question his integrity, deeming this man the Hood Avatar, a nickname, for better or for worse, that would stuck with him throughout his career. And even though JAYDEE traded his flag, it didn't completely stop his career. The new dynamic duo in the drill scene was beginning to really find its momentum. Not only were the two continuously getting hundreds of thousands of views, they'd sell out a few shows together and even began to receive offers from various music labels throughout the music industry. Most infamously linking up with Mace, who gave both Fabio and JAYDEE $5K each in 2018 and helped initiate Fabio's deal later down the road. JAYDEE met Mace June 9th, 2018, but would get locked up later that month, June 29th, until October 11th. Through that entire time period, until JD was home in May of 2019, he had not heard a single word from Mace. And this is where JD starts to question Mace and the entire relationship as a whole. But after getting released, Mace would reach out to JD that May of 2019, where Mace would help bring JD and Fabio to Columbia Records and help initiate a record deal. The deal was offered to JD as well, but he decided to decline because the offer wasn't putting him as the primary focus as an artist. The deal that was offered was a $1.8 million deal in which Mace allowed to recoup $800K from Fabio and JD. Fabio accepted, JD did not. This is important to note because shortly after the label meeting, JD would be locked up yet again, this time for 8 months, with a bond that he could not pay. So had taken that record deal, he'd be a walking free man. Under this specific indictment were allegations of rape and sexual assault of a minor, in which we'll dive fully into later in the video. While JD is away, Fabio is starting the beginning of his record deal, with one of the first few songs released through the label being Big Drip. The viral smash hit across all platforms achieved over 84 million streams to this day, and was the start of the New York drill artist's big break into the mainstream spotlight. So while JD is away, one of his closest peers in the industry, part of his dynamic duo, is getting the biggest amount of attention either of them has ever received. JD's bail was held for $2 million. In the state of New York, you're allowed to put down a percentage of your bail to get out. This is called a bond. Minimum of 10% is allowed, making the bail needed around $200 to $250K. So JD's been in there for 8 months at this point. In the past 2 years, he spent more time inside of jail than he has outside of jail making music. So his good buddy Fabio was obviously on fire at the time, has the big smash hit Big Drip coming off the record deal. He's got a couple mil in the pocket. So it'd eventually be Fabio that came up with the funds to get him bailed out of jail. But as you guys can guess, this modern New York dynamic duo's relationship does not last forever, and good things must come to an end. And although Fabio would bail JD out of jail and put him in a position to be around big rappers such as King Von, JD would take to IG Live in attempts to air out Fabio.
Cause niggas don't wanna fight. In real life, nobody wants to fight me. Word to my dad.
It's JD, of course, but it's so many niggas that do this. It's so many niggas that do this. Like, if this is coming a recurring thing, like this shit is happening too much now. Like, if it's a cool thing to just go around, nigga, be cool, smack a nigga face, and then go on an incident and go ranting, and
ultimately ending in diss tracks airing out their grievances.
I hope a lot of niggas get sanctioned. Man, a lot of niggas turn crib. You say you ain't my son, then you lying on my dick.
Oh, so that's the song where he dissed JD at. Okay.
Don't forget time when make sure he's taking them trips. And yeah, suck my dick. He got it on reason I'm crip.
JD felt like he put Fabio.
And that's the clip where that's the song where OMB JD dissed Fabio
on, and that Fabio should be doing more to help his career after taking off in the mainstream. This beef in itself was one that altered JD's career. It made him look more spiteful than anything. Fans generally took the side of Fabio Foreign on the beef. You know, this man Fabio just bailed you out of jail, and the first thing he does was get you in a studio with King Von to try to... If that's not an example of a friend throwing an alley-oop, I don't really know what is. From the outside perspective, kind of just looks like JD's a hater. But this is a common theme you're going to see throughout his career. Creating and continuing relationships is not a strong suit. Time and time again, he'd see himself flung into drama-filled beefs with drill rappers from almost every borough. The other artist I've seen have as many name drops is 22G, and his ability to not stay silent has hurt him just as much as making outwardly viral diss tracks. One thing that's kind of always haunted OMB JD's career and really put it to a halt back in 2018 were allegations of sexual assault and rape over his head, in which he would
say grape, Jack. He said grape.
Spend some time in jail for, but the case overall would eventually get dismissed. For almost about 3 years and some change, JD had a false sexual assault allegation lurking over his head. Fans in the New York drill scene and other rappers in the New York drill scene bashed the fuck out of him all throughout the process. Now, to their defense, Rightfully so, because at the time, the charges looked ridiculous. And if he was found guilty, definitely would have been a piece of shit. I have empathy for JD in this case because all of these allegations were false, because the dates the victim gave that the event occurred, JD actually happened to be in jail at the time. It'd be quite literally impossible for him to be found guilty in that case. And these allegations in general,
False allegations so dangerous. So dangerous, my boy. So dangerous.
were being clowned over his name and halted a lot of people from working with him, from music labels to artists. Around 2017, 2018, JD would find himself in a position to be able to work with one of the most polarizing figures in the modern age of hip-hop. That man going by the name of Tekashi 6ix9ine. Aside from Pop Smoke, you could argue he was the most viral and biggest artist to come out of New York in the past 10 to 20 years. At the time, 6ix9ine would be running with Treyway, finding himself connecting with other street rappers in the industry. JD and his clique being one of the crowds cool with Shotty at that time. 6ix9ine not actually being fully ingrained into the raw street life of New York drill rappers. He was looking to get a more personable approach to the New York drill scene at the time. So who better to ghostwrite for you than the most disrespectful rapper in the scene as a whole? Which, looking back,
That's a crazy comment, bro. That's a crazy comment.
back on it, it makes so much sense. 6ix9ine had a fast-paced, in-your-face drill approach exactly like JD. And there's a lot of bars throughout his discography where I'm like, oh, if JD said that, that'd be a fucking hit. These are allegations time and time again OMB JD would deny. He's never admitted that he's had a business relationship with 6ix9ine and his crew. But there is indeed way too much evidence that proves that JD had some kind of business rapport with him.
My city, young nigga way too litty. Niggas wanna talk that talk, better walk that walk. When you see me, tell him get up with me. Like, that pussy is lit. He got hit and he got hit. Nobody never did shit, I ain't worried about you.
Bitch, oh yeah, I'm out, you bitch. Casamigos, dollars, rock you, bitch. We bout to fuck some shit. La 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 la, fuck your shit, we fucking fucking shit. Niggas know me, I'ma pop my shit with sweetie, swapping sticks. What? What you gonna do like what? Who you gonna shoot like what?
We ain't no free to none. Shout out JD, shout out Kuda D, sad, oh my god.
What where people took
I'm saying, didn't he shout out JD in one of his songs?
issue with was lying and misleading your fans. At the very least, you owe them some sort of transparency. And within the subculture of drill, the fans are looking for the most raw and authentic rappers they can find. If this was any other melodic rapper writing for 6ix9ine, it mostly wouldn't be an issue. But within the politics of drill, working with somebody who had openly snitched is not really favored amongst the rappers or the fans. I'm very open to say that OMB JD is one of the most talented rappers to come out of the New York drill scene.